This is the United Uprising channel. Welcome to today's show. Joe Biden has released his first real commercial for the fake election in 2024. And there's a lot of gaslighting in there, but there's also a lot of symbols of things to come in the United States of America. There's also some creepy messaging in there with the obelisk, of course, with Joe Biden and a child, which I'll get into after I show you the actual commercial. But there's a lot of undertones to this about what is to come in 2024. Of course, they are gaslighting anybody who is not in favor of communism and calling them terrorists. They're showing, of course, and gaslighting the MAGA audience out there, the people who support Donald Trump, or in general, anybody who doesn't support this regime, which is really the majority of the country who doesn't support it. The people who do support it by default, because obviously all of the mind control that's been put on them to hate Donald Trump, which is all done by design. Again, Trump is in bed with Biden. These guys are all in bed together. This is about destroying the foundation of the United States of America. It's about taking down the Senate, taking down the House, taking down the voting system. The whole thing is going to be replaced, and it's going to be your fault when it happens. It's going to be the Republicans and the Democrats who are responsible for all of it. So what they do here is they start with gaslighting, and I'll show you the commercial now, and getting people all riled up about voting. They continue to want to convince you that your vote counts while also telling you that your vote doesn't count, right? This whole thing about you're the one who's going to be responsible. It's going to be on your back. Make sure you vote for democracy on this ballot, but also at the same time telling you that certain people don't want your vote to count, right? So there's two messages here going on at once, because the reality of it is that your vote doesn't count. But they want you to think that certain sides won't accept your vote. So they're trying to tell people out there, if you're black or you're Hispanic, whatever your nationality is, that they're not going to count your vote. And they want you to do this via mail-in ballot. This is one of the psyops that's been going on the last couple of years with the mail-in ballot. In reality, if everybody, like I said, went with a pen and paper and we had it on camera, we could actually count an actual election, so you would really win. Of course, they don't want that to ever happen. So part of the mindset here is to remove the write-in ballot. Okay, so that's what you've been hearing. I'm sure everybody out there is aware. They even go as far as to show you the Mariposa County official ballot drop. Of course, they have a black person doing it because they're gaslighting black people. It's amazing that any black people actually support either side. I would be I don't support either, but I don't know how anybody actually falls into thinking that Biden and Harris actually care about these people or any people in general, especially people of color. They do not care about you. They're gaslighting. They're working you beyond belief, throwing in Martin Luther King, the Freemason, Prince Hall Freemason, communist as well in the commercial. But they're showing you this stuff over and over and over again, as they're setting you up to know that your vote doesn't count. The paper ballot thing is something they want on the tip of your mind. Because remember, again, I just covered this and showed this to you. They don't want, and they're going to screw around with your mind to tell you that your votes in specific states don't count. If you're a Republican, in certain states, your votes don't count. If you're a liberal, et cetera, et cetera. The whole process of voting will be removed. It's already been removed. It doesn't exist, okay? But in your mind, okay, in your mind, you still think, and people out there still think that their vote counts and that they can make a change with their vote. This is how they're playing everybody on a fiddle. But take a look at this commercial just released from the Biden-Harris campaign.
I've made the preservation of American democracy the central issue of my presidency. I believe in free and fair elections and the right to vote fairly and have your vote counted. There's something dangerous happening in America. There's an extremist movement that does not share the basic beliefs in our democracy. All of us are being asked right now, what will we do to maintain our democracy? History's watching. The world is watching. And most important, our children and grandchildren will hold us responsible. The Vice President and I have supported voting rights since day one of this administration, and I ask every American to join me in this cause. America is still a place of possibilities, where the power resides with we, the people. That's our soul. We are the United States of America. There is nothing beyond our capacity when we act together. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
So, of course, this is all an illusion, right? You saw some of the undertones if you watch closely where they put in feminism. Of course, they show black families. They show lots of things that I'll break down momentarily here. But mainly they show you about your vote and try to gaslight you into your vote not counting. Even the releasing of doves has symbolism. But one of the things I want to show you very quickly is they talk about democracy being on the ballot, Joe Biden caring about democracy, because they've convinced you that this country is now a democracy, which essentially it's no longer a republic. It was always a republic, and most people out there don't realize that. This country was always a republic, not a democracy, a republic. When Obama was in power, he changed and did a lot of things that he never got questioned about because, of course, the color of his skin. That was one of the reasons they selected Obama, was that if you questioned Obama, you would be considered a racist. You'd be a racist person if you say anything that he's doing is wrong. And, of course, somehow they've convinced a lot of people out there, the majority of Democrats, that Biden's one of the greatest presidents of all time. Biden single-handedly destroyed the Constitution while he was in power. And he even went on record to mimic Star Wars in a sense, where they've programmed so many of these people with Star Wars and the destruction of the Republic. And Obama even went out at one of the White House Correspondents' dinners and said that the end of the Republic has never looked better. I've used this video clip many, many times over, but look at the correlations between exactly what they're doing and did and showed people with MK Ultra mind control programming throughout the Star Wars films, and how Obama pretty much is saying the same exact thing. And no, he isn't trolling. Obama in power did take down all of the rights that we all had as a republic and turned us into really just a tyrannical government where they could do whatever they want, whenever they want, and not be questioned about it.
The new republic lies to the galaxy. Will bring an end to the Senate, to their cherished fleet. Will bow to the First Order as the last day of the republic.
Good evening, everybody. It is an honor to be here at my last, and perhaps the last, White House Correspondents' Dinner. You all look great. The end of the Republic has never looked better.
So the end of the Republic has never looked better to them. That's what this has always been about, right? Destroying the Republic. But let's look at some of the undertones, some of the disturbing images in that first commercial that I played for you. Starting with Biden looking out the window with a little girl. I mean, this couldn't be, a lot of people will see this and not think much of it, but this is really just a disturbing image. Okay, this is Biden with a little child. Everybody who has any clue about who these people are and what they do with children should understand this, right? But looking at the obelisk, right? There's a lot of symbolism to the obelisk. The obelisk represents Baal's shaft. That's what it is. It's phallus worship, okay? And then, of course, that obelisk that he's looking at, the Washington Monument, stands at what? 6,666 inches tall by 666.6 inches wide. Of course, they want you to think that it's 555 feet. They've actually even gone as far as to change the dimensions all over the internet to make it that it's 550 or 54 or 56 because too many people caught on to the 666 symbolism and the phallus worship in Washington, D.C. with the Washington Monument because, like I said, with the internet, obviously this is the beast system, how they're going to control people, etc. with the internet. There are things in the internet that they never expect to get out, and they have to control it gets out. That's people like us. That's information that's very easy for people to see when they start researching the Washington Monument, the dimensions of it, and they see the 666. 50 years ago, nobody would have thought anything of it. They wouldn't even have known what the Washington Monument measurements were without going to the Washington Monument. And then what were they going to do? Get a calculator out of their pocket, right? So obviously these are things that they try to protect because it becomes very, very clear who these people are and who they worship. So it's very disturbing with phallus worship to see the president standing next to a child. Of course, we've all seen the creepy videos over the years of Biden massaging the shoulders of young children. I mean, it's just really sick stuff that I can't even mention here on YouTube, but I've broken it down in the past, and those videos are available on the website, uprisingrevival.com. You get Biden, of course, talking about the UN, or talking at the UN. They deliberately show you shots of him at the United Nations talking about how the world is going to be affected by this fake election, as they then start showing you the official ballots. Right? They start showing you the ballots, and they're all write-in ballots. This is done by design. They're showing you people doing the write-in ballots. They even go so far as to the woman hold up the official ballot enclosed to actually show a picture, show the image of a man, a young black man, going and putting a mail-in voting ballot into the Maricopa County ballot box, which is part of the psyop that they did on the last election with Where the votes counted here, they were not counted there. Where's the missing? This is all stuff that you would never know about. How would you know about a specific place like Maricopa County and if the votes actually got counted and a box got thrown out unless the media wanted you to know about it? You would never know. You'd be like, where in the world is Maricopa County? Do you know about your own town if each vote was actually counted? No. They put this story out there to gaslight everybody. It was nothing more than a psyop, and they're using it again in this election because this will likely be the last fake election that they have where they actually make you think your vote counts. Now, we all remember, again, the Klaus Schwab clip that I played recently. I played it over the years, where Klaus openly talks about how we won't need to vote in the future. And remember, all this stuff does go back to the World Economic Forum and the globalist initiatives about, this artificial intelligence governance, where everything is going to be run through AI, right? They're trying to take humans out of the equation here, telling us that we're flawed, etc. AI isn't racist. AI isn't this. It isn't that. It's perfection, right? And then eventually they want to tell you that they'll be able to determine the elections for you without you actually voting. And everyone out there is like, oh, that's really cool. Yeah, it sounds it sounds like a dictatorship, a global dictatorship. This was Klaus Schwab years ago.
You do not even have to have elections anymore because you can already predict, and afterwards you can say, why do we need elections? Because we know what the result will be.
Right, so eventually that's what we get to, and that's what they're even telling you with the imagery in what do they call him? O'Biden? Yes, in O'Biden's actual commercial here. Then two of the other clips that I found fascinating that they show. Of course, they zoom in on the feminist thing, but they zoom in on the fist, and like that clip I showed you earlier, right? Where you have, what do they call them? The stormtroopers from the Dork Wars, Star Wars, where they all hold their fist up, right? We're supposed to, this is them showing you the fist representing the end of the republic, literally, right in front of your faces. Right now, again, they've already changed it so it's not a republic, but they're bringing in their New World Order republic, which isn't a republic at all. But they can convince you of whatever they want at this point because everybody's believing the mind control program. So then I want to get to this at the end because they show us two specific things. They show us this genetic coding on the computer screen, right? Isn't that amazing? Because ultimately what this is about, this whole thing with this New World Order government, this global government and surveillance, is alternating your genetic code, alternating your DNA. You might be familiar with what just occurred a couple of years ago and how they were trying to alternate your DNA and your genetic code. It's happening as we speak. But they go out of their way to make sure they show this because most people would see this. They'd be like, what is that? Oh, it's just science. It's just molecules. They're showing you. That's what they're showing you is alternating genetic codes in here because ultimately that's what this global government is going to be doing to human beings. And the Democratic Party is in bed. I mean, both parties are in bed with the global government. I shouldn't say just the Democratic Party. But the Democratic Party and what they represent right now is really, they're openly telling you how this global government's going to work, this global communism, right? In the illusion of freedom, the illusion of love, right? So they're showing you the genetic code on there. Then they show you the doves being released. And there's a lot of symbolism. We know there's biblical symbolism with the dove, of course, with hope, renewal, spirituality, peace. But really what they're telling you here is the transformation. Okay? So we all know about the phoenix rising from the ashes, right? The phoenix and the dove correlate with one another. The dove in a lot of cultures symbolizes a rebirth. And that's what they're trying to do here. The rebirth is a common theme in the Illuminati and the New World Order, right? We constantly see themes of rebirth, of being infinite, and of course of transformation. So in the Bible, we know that the doves were released and the doves were symbolic after the great flood, right? After the flood, the doves were released to find dry land and then return with the olive branch signifying the end of the storm and the beginning of the new era of peace. So here, they're using the dove with a different meaning. The dove to them is going to symbolize their rebirth, their spiritual rebirth. You notice how the doves were darker doves? They were gray doves, right? This is exactly what I always talk about with how they invert things. And they're inverting. They're telling you about this rebirth. This is the demonic, satanic global government rebirth. And people out there laugh at this stuff and they think that this stuff is a big joke, but they constantly show you and reveal these things to you. Somebody has pieced this video together off the top there. Like, let me go to Central Park because I love Home Alone 2 and I want to film doves flying with the pigeon woman, or you know what I mean? There's spiritual symbolism to all this stuff. Rebirth is the symbolism. The rebirth comes from the association with the phoenix rising from the ashes, right? The mythical bird that rises from the ashes of its predecessor. In ancient Egyptian mythology, the goddess Isis was often depicted holding a dove, which represented the rebirth of the sun after its nightly journey through the underworld. Okay? So this is what we're seeing here. They're showing you what's about to occur in the United States of America, the destruction of the system that's in place as we know it. And in a sense, the rebirth of the mystery religions, all the things that were taught in the mystery schools and the mystery religions, the Babylonian teachings, will become the new normal as part of the infrastructure of this satanic cabal that is rising from the ashes. And the phoenix rising from the ashes is exactly what you're seeing. They're destroying everything around us. And the doves also, again, have spiritual meaning biblically, and they have meaning to them as well, the meaning of rebirth. So Biden's commercial here obviously is filled with messaging. The end of the republic has never looked better for these monsters. And people out there just see these commercials and they don't realize that they're being programmed to look at anybody who speaks against this regime to be a terrorist, right? They lump all of us in with this Trump MAGA stuff, right? And there's a lot of people out there that just lean to MAGA or Trump because nobody wants to be a part of this communist regime. We see China. We all know what's coming. These other people are getting worked with their skin color, their gender that they're born with, thinking that they're victims, thinking that they have no rights in this country and they have to stick with the Democratic Party. They don't realize that they're just brainwashing them so that they could be a wall of defense against anybody else in this country who rises up or attempts to rise up against a communist dictatorship. So it's inverted, right? They look at the conservatives out there, and I'm not saying the conservatives are in the right, but the perspective and the viewpoint of the conservatives is correct. The problem is that they're all getting herded into Donald Trump and these politicians who are doing this deliberately to them, and they're going to herd them as sitting ducks. But the mindset that the Democrats have, the people who are just basic civilians who vote Democrat based on skin color, based on, they're all mean or crazy. They're being brainwashed into this commercial, and they're looking at anybody who's not on board with the party, the Democratic Party, is a terrorist in this country. They're the ones exactly causing the division. And we're going to see a lot of symbolism of what's to come in a lot of these ads. Normally these ads are kind of like comical, but there's a lot of undertones now with these ads. A lot of symbolism in these ads, okay? And the thing you really got to take out of these ads isn't just the fact that they're calling civilians in this country who vote the way that they don't want them to vote as terrorists. They're also telling you about the voting system in general being brought down, being taken down, because eventually there will not be a voting system like this. And they're trying to convince you that the system is flawed, that it's rigged, et cetera, which it's always been, so that they could bring in a whole new government structure. That's what this is about. So the end of the republic to these monsters has never looked better. But if anyone out there with eyes to see and ears to hear, it's been gone for quite some time. And this is not a democracy. This was once a republic, and it is now a fully controlled global dictatorship. What they need to do is convince you that this country is being destroyed by you. And they're going to come in with the solution to everything that we're supposedly doing when they're the ones doing it. They're gaslighting, they're causing false flags, they're making psyops, they're psychologically abusing people. We are under full-on mind control at levels we've never, ever seen before. And we can obviously see the effects it's having on people. I mean, you might be around some people who are still wearing masks at the grocery store, okay? That's full-on mind control in effect, that people are actually, doing some of the things that the government is telling them to do. They don't have the slightest clue of what's actually going on. A reminder, please subscribe to my other channel, Call for Vengeance, if you haven't yet. This channel is one strike away from a ban, so I won't be able to upload here if you like my daily content. So please make sure you subscribe now. I thank everyone for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless all of you as always and your families.